Could the Dragons have the best quarterback in all of Division II? We'll find out. Plus, the Bison have 2 freshmen that could play as early as August 30th. Hot Mike begins now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. What am I looking at? What is this? Oh, really? We have a tower cam in Rapid City? Wow. All right. I had no idea, but that's apparently a tower cam in we get requests from out west, so there you go. Hello, Western South Dakota. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show on a Tuesday morning. Actually, blue sky is here, which is a nice change of pace considering the smoke of the last couple weeks. Enjoy while we got it. Welcome to the show on a Tuesday. It is the 5th of August, 2025. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. Welcome to Hot Mike on a Tuesday. We got a lot to get to today. We were up at Bison football practice yesterday. Got a couple of interesting little tidbits we'll share on the program coming up today. You're going to hear from some of the Bison on our show tomorrow in anticipation of Bison Media Day. We're live up there Friday. Looking forward to that. Packed show, anticipating that coming up to wrap up the week. The big couple takeaways from yesterday. Finally somebody made some sense at the NCAA because the basketball tournament is not expanding for now. Should have a round of applause for that. We're going to stay at 68 for the upcoming season. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen down the road, but we're going to stay there. We'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit, which is the best news we've heard out of that organization a little bit. And baseball games can apparently take under 2 hours. And if you're the Twins, that's okay. If you're trying to wrap this season up as quick as possible, at least the fans are, that you know what? If we can play games in under 2 hours, that's maybe the only way you're going to have people watching the rest of the season, which we'll show you in just a minute. Also, we'll check in at Vikings camp. The Vikes had their night practice, one that they traditionally do. It's so different now than it was at Mankato when it was a big deal. But you'll also hear from Kevin O'Connell as well, as the Vikes will have their opener on Saturday at US Bank Stadium. We have some news to share on who's going to be playing for the Vikings in their preseason opener with the Texans in anticipation of some joint practices they're going to have over the next couple weeks. This might be it for a couple guys you're going to see in the preseason. We'll get to that coming up in a little while as well. You'll also meet the Bison newest women's basketball commit that has some pretty strong NDSU ties. I know for a fact there's a few that are really excited that the Bison were able to get this commit in. You'll meet her coming up in our second hour of the show. So all that coming up as we roll on this Tuesday. But we'll start with the Twins, because why not? And I mentioned play it in under 2 hours. That's A-okay. And if you win or lose, I guess right now it doesn't really matter. But they opened a series last night with Detroit. With their bullpen tax, they went with Travis Adams was starting last night for Minnesota against the Tigers, who are right. Detroit is playing for a lot here. Tigers are going for the American League pennant. They think they've got a team that can potentially make it to the World Series, which Detroit hasn't been there since 2012, when they got swept by the Giants. They think they got a team that can get back there, and they've got a little bit of everything. They got the starting pitching, which you'll see. They've got great bullpen now, which they added to that, and they got the power. That's the Twins are hoping. The Tigers bottomed out for a while, too, that if this is happening, that maybe they can bounce back. And maybe in 4 or 5 years, be good again, which is asking an awful lot. They got off to a great start last night. Ryan Jeffers had an early home run. So they're up 1-0 when Trevor Larnach comes up, and he'll add to that. This is the Jeffers homer that got him off Casey Mize, who, by the way, is an all-star. He's Detroit's best starter. Casey Mize was a former number 1 overall pick that developed. Here's our guy, Travis Adams. Who? He was great. He struck out 7 in 5 innings of work last night. It was a 1-0 game until the 5th when Larnach charges into 1 to make it a 2-0 Minnesota lead. Tigers will get it back on 1 swing to tie it up at 2 when Matt Walter hits the 3rd home run of the game for the Twins. This one dead center, 437 feet, makes it a 3-2 Minnesota lead. It all went away after that, though. Kerry Carpenter batting with a 3-all game and unloads on that. You think he got all of that one? 2-run shot on the bottom of the 6th. That makes it a 5-3 Tiger lead. He enjoyed that one as well. They would add to it. Dylan Dingler would hit a home run. It's a great name, by the way, for Detroit to make it a 6-3 Tiger lead there off Erasmo Ramirez. Again, they got guys we've never heard of pitching for the Twins. That made it 6-3. They would bring in Kyle Finnegan, who they traded for from the Nationals, who was their all-star closer for Washington. Detroit picked him up at the deadline, and he throws hard. Again, they were aggressive. Here, the final out of the game, his 22nd save. Tigers win it 6-3 in an hour and 58 minutes. That's the second time we've had a game over the last couple days take under 2 hours. People were upset about the pitch clock. I mean, come on. If you're going to go see a team that's 8 games under 500, at least get it done under 2 hours is what happened last night. Mize gets the win. 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, struck out 4. And the Twins are now 8 games under 500. The more stories keep piling up, though, after the deadline. And that, to me, is the interesting part on what's happened post-deadline. We shared a little bit yesterday on the Bob Nightingale story on the Correa channels that were ongoing, and the Twins were trying to maybe get Christian Walker. Initial reports said that even the Astros offered him. That was not exactly the case. The intriguing part to me was some of the guys that were made available. Again, that Varland was traded with 5 years of control. And again, there's still the commissioner is out saying that their sale could be imminent for the Twins. That's hard to hang on to. This is a column from Lavelli Neal III. The Twins have been on sale since last September, but there's been no word of a deal in the near future. There are indications that serious buyers have emerged during the summer, and according to a front office sports report on Friday, there continues to be momentum toward the franchise being sold. What should the future owners think of Derek Falvey's fire sale? First, since the last name of the majority owner won't be Pohlad, he or she will automatically be embraced. They'll engage with a tortured fan base desperate to see the team become a World Series threat. Falvey's moves before the deadline likely will slow that process down. A new core of position players need to regenerate around all-star Byron Buxton. The Twins don't have reliable middle-of-the-order hitters. The batting lineup has been an issue for 2 years now. They don't have production at first base or DH, 2 spots that demand it. Manager Rocco Baldelli hasn't had the ingredients to craft a functional batting order. Evidently, there were overtures to Byron Buxton's agent, that's to Scott Boras, and they were all rebuffed because Buxton doesn't want to go anywhere. So I think, to me, that's the more interesting part around this baseball team over the next little bit is just the other stories are going to come out of like, well, you know, who's available. And again, yesterday, once we read that story that people around baseball anticipated the Twins were going to trade the guys that were free agents, not the ones that were under team control for a while, like Duran, like Jax, like Varland, that all became expendable, apparently, right before the deadline. Now to a team that is poised to maybe do something big in 2020. 25. And that's the Minnesota Vikings, which will play their first preseason game, as we mentioned, coming up on Saturday against the Houston Texans. Last night they held their first night practice. Again, the cameras are restricted to what they can show. So you got a lot of guys stretching video, which is always my favorite. All the attention's on that guy. The Vikings' hopes rest with the right arm of number 9. And what that's going to entail for J.J. McCarthy, which, frankly, through the first 2 weeks of camp has been a struggle. That there's been more turnovers than not. And the Vikes have turned the ball over quite a bit. Again, you can make way too many generalizations off of what happens during training camp. And I think fans do that now because they're just in a quest for or a thirst for football, which is fine because we experienced that up here in Fargo, certainly with when the Bison get going of who's doing what and who's doing looking good and who's not. This guy looked pretty good. That's Jordan Mason, number 27, the running back that they acquired from the 49ers, scored a touchdown last night as well, as you saw there at the very end for the Vikes. Now, the big news yesterday was made before the night practice. Kevin O'Connell addressed the media, and the big question, concerns about his quarterback, and is he going to play? We talked about this late last week. What are the Vikes' plans for J.J. McCarthy in the preseason? K.O. said he's going to play.
I think you'd love to play him, as much as possible. But I think with those 2 days of joint practice, the guys that, the type of repetition that the other guys on the offense will get from a physicality and workload standpoint, we'll more than likely use those 2 days as our real days. Obviously, subject to change based upon how those practices go, how we feel coming out of those. If we need to get a little more work, we will, and then we'll assess that final preseason game when it comes.
When you put JJ in there for however long you do it, does that then affect the plan for the rest of the offensive line? Do you want him to get work with that starting group if healthy enough for everybody to do it?
Yeah, I think it'll be a combination of, health of the group. It'll be a combination of, the individualized, plan for guys. We feel really good about kind of what we've talked about early on here. We'll articulate that to the players, but yeah, you want to have, I think it could look different. I don't think it's going to be one broad brush of like the Vikings did this for the preseason game, and that's not a unique thing when you've got a young quarterback. You're trying to get some work and veterans at other positions or at other sides of the ball. So once again, individualized program. I wouldn't really read too much into any particular aspect of our decision making on that, but we do want to go out and we get a U.S. Bank Stadium home game. We get our fans. We get an opportunity to open the building up the right way. We want to go compete, and it's a playoff team that I know D'Amico's going to have his guys ready to really play hard and evaluate his whole roster, which we'll be doing as well.
Okay, so let's try and parse through the word salad that KOC usually does. First, are we going to expect more than a couple drives out of McCarthy? No. I think that's probably the max of what you're going to see on Saturday. I would not anticipate you're going to see him play the other 2 preseason games. The Vikings have joint practices coming up for their final 2 weeks of camp. That's where the work is going to happen with McCarthy getting out there. Who else is going to be out there? We know JJ's not going to be there in terms of Justin Jefferson. Have to clarify that now since there's 2 of them. Out with a hamstring strain. I don't think we're going to see Jefferson until the season opener in Chicago. TJ Hawkinson is hurt right now. Removed himself from practice on Saturday with a lower body injury. Love Football has now adopted the hockey terminology. Ryan Kelly, the starting center. Josh Metellus out. More importantly on the offense, what are you going to see up front? How many of the starting 5? Darrisaw's not going to play. I mean, Donovan Jackson has to. Is the first-round pick that the Vikings got out of Ohio State. I don't know who else. Is Fry's going to play? I mean, what is the offensive line going to look like? That's the biggest takeaway. This is also from the Strib yesterday in regards to how McCarthy played last night. The Vikings defense had the upper hand over the young McCarthy throughout training camp. Monday night was no different. McCarthy was often flustered from the pocket and throwing on the run during 11-11 drills at TCO Stadium, where the team held its annual night practice. His longest pass sailed over the head of wide receiver Jordan Addison about 20 yards down the field. Again, this is where trying to offer any sort of caution, any sort of temperance on it is impossible because fans freak out over every play. And I get it. This is where the Vikes' future lays, is with this guy, that he has to be good because they have surrounded him with elite talent. At the wide receiver spot, at the tight end spot, the running backs are better with the addition of Mason. They upgraded the offensive line, they believe. Now it all rests on the quarterback getting it. KOC has proven he's been able to do it. He did it with Cousins. He did it with Darnold. He even did it for a couple game stretch with the Pasternaut. Like that happened, you'll remember, a couple years ago. Even our guy Nick Mullins, despite the fact he liked to throw the ball to the wrong team, looked all right. This is why they paid O'Connell what they did. That the quarterback whisperer's got to figure it out. I would also say the backup spot is wide open. They know they traded for Sam Howell. That does not look great. Go for great. Max Brosmer is, I don't know how much he's in the mix. Maybe the backup quarterback is it Brett Rippon. We don't know right now. That's why they wanted Daniel Jones around, and obviously Jones wanted to be a starter when he went to Indianapolis and signed. So we'll find out. Vikes opener on Saturday afternoon, and conclusions will be drawn. JJ, you'll remember, that was the one preseason game he got last year. Looked great before he got hurt. I would not anticipate him playing a whole lot Saturday. Maybe a quarter, maybe at the max, against the Houston Texans coming up. We got a packed show coming up for you here on this Tuesday. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Mike McFeely will join us at 9:35 at his usual Tuesday time slot. Michael was out at Bison Camp yesterday to get his thoughts on what he's seen out of the first 5 practices from NDSU. The Bison are off today. They'll get back on the field tomorrow. We'll chat about that. And his column on the Twins blew up on Inforum.com. I encourage people to read that. We'll chat about that as well coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Morgan Mathiowetz will join us out of Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. She is the third commit for the Bison women of the class of 2027. Sophomore that averaged 33 points per game last year. Her older sister, Maddie, plays for the Jackrabbits. Madison Mathiowetz is a tremendous basketball player that the Bison tried to get, 5 years ago, and she chose the Jackrabbits, and she's become a first-team All-League player for SDSU. Her younger sister's coming to be a Bison, and there's some unique Bison connections there. We'll chat about that with Morgan at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Steve Laqua is back with us, MSUM football coach. The Dragons were on the practice field yesterday for the first time. MSUM actually opens before anybody in the area. The Dragons will play at Northern Michigan on August 28th, though their season gets going before the Bison start playing, before anybody else. So a lot of expectations there with maybe the best quarterback in all of Division II plays for MSUM. That's Jack Strand, who's in his senior year. So we'll visit with Steve coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday. We're glad you're joining us. We're just getting started. Hot Mike is back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KNBN, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Our friend Alec Johnson, who does media for UND, tweets out this photo this morning. This is Old Hislop is coming down. That is a big moment in Grand Forks. They were actually supposed to have this happen, I believe, yesterday, and they delayed it to today. But the amount of memories inside that building, too many to name, but it's officially coming down up in Grand Forks, something that I know we visited with Andrew Armacost about during our extended conversation on the sit-down. So there's a shameless self-promotion. If you missed our show on Sunday night, the extended version is available at Inforum.com. We get into that about the new buildings going up around campus, and obviously athletically wise, not only with the university. You can check that out. But big moment there up at UND today. I missed this. Yes, actually didn't miss it. It happened after we were off the air. Shout out to our guy, Ben Jacobson, longtime head coach at Northern Iowa, who, this is crazy, will start his 20th year as head coach at UNI this season. Got a 5-year contract extension yesterday. He's already the dean of coaches in the Missouri Valley. The Pride of Mayville, North Dakota, will remain the head coach there through at least now 2030, which is just an amazing stretch. 374 career wins. He's the second winningest coach in the history of the conference. Second longest tenured coach in Missouri Valley Conference history. 4 times he's made it the NCAA tournament. It's been a little bit, though. 2016 is the last time you and I made the tournament. 3 NITs. They've won the Valley 4 separate times, including in 2022, their most recent. For a guy that was his last job prior to going to Northern Iowa was here. He was assistant coach with the Bison in 2000, I believe, with a guy named Greg McDermott, before those guys went on to bigger, greater things after that. So the one thing I'll always appeal to Jake is play one of the North Dakota schools. Can we make that happen? They haven't played UND. They played, it's been a bit. Haven't played the Bison in forever. But congrats to Jake on getting that extension. That's cool stuff. Speaking of college basketball, as we are on the hunt for non-conference schedules, we've got a few more dates out there for the Bison and UND, both on the men's and women's side. The big news yesterday, college basketball-wise, came from the NCAA. The headline, the NCAA tournament remaining at 68 teams for 2026. We know we talked about it about a month ago, that their momentum was there to expand the tournament to either 72 or 76 teams. And there was nothing decided in, I want to say, the middle part of July, maybe late part of July, that they said, no, we're going to keep it, where they made no decision, and which obviously that delayed the fact that anything was going to happen for 2026. Dan Gavitt, who is the senior vice president of basketball, said expanding the tournament fields is no longer being contemplated for the 2026 men's and women's basketball championships. However, the committees will continue conversations on whether to recommend expanding to 72 or 76 teams in advance of 2027. Common sense finally prevailed. 68 is fine. We do not need to go beyond that. Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, has said adding teams could add value to the tournament. And he said the NCAA already has had good conversations with TV partners CBS and Warner Brothers, whose deal runs through 2032 at the cost of about $1.1 billion a year. They moved to 68 in 2011. Gosh, it seems like it was longer ago than that when the first 4 became a thing. And I've experienced the first 4. I covered that in 2019 when North Dakota State was a part of it. They make it a big deal in Dayton. We talked about it when the story was really percolating in late July on how would you do it. When do you play the games? You're going to have to play the game sometime in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Who's going to watch if you're going to expand to 76? That there are legit concerns there, and Baker said that. This is what he said back in July on that subject. The tournament has to start after the conference championships are over, and right now Selection Sunday happens like 2 hours after the last tournament game ends and has to finish by the Tuesday before the Masters. There's not a lot of room there. Any expansion, we're going to have to figure out how to put it in and then logistically how to make it work. And I got an email about this a while ago, asking, why does it have to finish before the Masters? Hello, CBS has it. CBS has both, and they're not giving either one up. They're certainly not going to mess with the Masters, and they want the basketball tournament to lead right into that. That's been done like that for time immemorial, and they're not going to change it. Which means if you're going to do that, so the Big Ten championship game usually is the last one that tips at 3 o'clock Central Time on Selection Sunday, and is done at, well, maybe 2 o'clock, and it's done at 4, right? Or 2:30, and it's done at 4:30. I mean, so we're talking, you're not playing games on Monday because you got to get teams there, but you're playing Tuesday at noon? Noon, 2, 6, and 8, something like that. I mean, I don't know who's watching. That's why just leave well enough alone. Now, the other schools, like Summit League, Big Sky, I think they're in favor of it simply because of the extra revenue that would come. Because more teams aren't getting in. I say that till I'm blue in the face. You're not going to get more Summit League teams in. You're not going to get more Big Sky or Horizon or Sunbelt or A-Sun. Those schools aren't getting more bids in. The MAAC, not the MAC, the MAAC, the Metro Athletic Conference, the NEC, the Patriot, they're not going to get more. Even the Missouri Valley. The Valley's been hard. He's gotten one. We talked with Jeff Jackson about that, both at when he got the job for the Missouri Valley Football Conference and when we're at Media Day about expansion of the tournament. That it just there's no more of this coming. You're going to get more Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Pac-12 is coming back of those schools that are 17 and 14 to get into the tournament, in my estimation. What do you think?
So for the women, like how they do the women's tournament, the play-in games are at the sites.
Yep.
Could they move, like let's say those two early games to sites? Like, all right, North Dakota State, you're gonna play Chicago State for the right to face Duke and Greensboro. Could you go play there on a Tuesday and keep like the traditional first four in Dayton? Like you're already running more games at once and. People have the opportunity to stream multiple screens at once, so it's like, why not just do that instead of keep the first four at Dayton, so Dayton still gets their slice of the bread, and then move like North Dakota State, Chicago State to Greensboro to play Duke.
Yeah, I think an alternate site is what I've heard as well, considered to have host 8 other teams there, so they have one pod at Dayton and another somewhere else. But I think that's probably the best. If they're going to do it, how they're going to do it. You're probably right, though, that they're going to have games at the same time. So maybe you have 2 games at 6 and 2 games at 8:30.
Well, what if they did a game at 6, a game that tips at 6 in Dayton, and then a game that tips at
6:30 somewhere else?
Yeah, 6:30, like they do for the tournament already.
For the Sweet 16, they do that.
You can split screen it.
Yep. That's probably what they'll do. And again, not ideal, but it beats playing in the middle of the afternoon. That ain't going to work for anybody. Just it's all about television, as we all know, on figuring that out. Speaking of which, our next guest loves talking about that. We'll break. We come back. Our guy Mike McFeely waiting in the wings. Chat about what the Twins did. He was out at Bison Camp as well. Get his thoughts on a couple of positions we've been watching. Back on a Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
We're doing broadcasting with our guy Mike McFeely. Joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:35.
I want to make something clear.
Go for it.
Even on my days off,
you come in.
I sometimes come into work.
Yep.
I'll just leave it at that. if you don't get what I'm saying, go back and watch the press conference of the Fargo police chief yesterday, or read my column at inforum.com.
It's
this morning.
It's pretty darn good.
So I just want to make it clear that even
we appreciate that.
For example, I was actually had the day off, and was fishing in Minnesota when the, I don't say riots were going on in downtown Fargo over the George Floyd stuff and all that stuff. Yeah, it was my day off. I drove in from the lakes in Minnesota and drove downtown and did my job that night. Yep, did my job. Yep. Even though it was my day off, I figured that's a pretty important thing going on in Fargo right now. And since my job is to cover events in Fargo,
news,
big things, big happenings that have people shook up and riled up, that I should probably be there to chronicle that and let people know what I'm seeing.
Yep.
Like I wouldn't just go, you know what? Sorry, I'm in Wisconsin It's my day off.
Can't come in.
I can't come in. We'll wait till Monday at 2 o'clock to tell the public everything's over. I wouldn't do that.
No.
I wouldn't do that.
We appreciate that.
Yep.
Especially you coming in today.
Yep.
I want to start your column you wrote on the Twins went nuclear after the fire sale of what went down on Thursday afternoon.
And what's funny is the way I started that column was, I talked to my boss about these things. I said, hey, should I go down to the Twins for the home opener? He's like, nope. I'm like, oh, that was quick. Okay. Wow. Okay. Is it like cost? Is it? He's like, well, it's going to cost a few bucks because you got to, drive down and hotel and food, whatever. It's not a lot, but it's a couple of dollars. And he said, it's not worth it. Not worth your time because nobody reads the stuff. And I'm like, well, somebody reads it. Well, let's go in my office and look at the numbers online. And I said, I don't need to do that because I've seen them. You're right. Nobody reads it. When things go haywire, people read it.
Yeah, like
Holy
what happened.
Cow. When you sell off 40% of your roster and $27 million in payroll, it attracts attention. And I think part of it, obviously, was people are mad.
Yes.
People say they don't care about the Twins, but there's a reason why the last year or so they haven't. And we've chronicled all of this before, that it's the owner saying, I'm not going to spend any money to make them any better because we got to right-size our business. It was the TV disaster last year. It was the collapse last year. So I get all of that. But I think people still expect, there's still a good portion of this region that remembers 87, 91.
Absolutely.
The 2000s, where they were in the playoff, where they won the division, 6 times in the 2000s. They remember 2023.
2 years ago.
Right, when they won the division and won a playoff series. And so I think people will get engaged if you give them a reason to get engaged.
Yes.
And the Twins gave the fan base on Thursday, a reason to get engaged.
There ain't no doubt.
Because they, as I said, they didn't just wave the white flag. They just dropped a nuclear bomb in the middle of the franchise and said, oh, there we go, we're starting over.
And now the question I have is, who's going to come watch this team going, not just for the rest of 25, 26 and beyond?
That all depends, though, partially on whether the club is sold and whoever the new owner is and the job they do in instilling confidence and acquiring players. As the dust has settled and we've sort of been able to go, we're a few days away from, Bloody Thursday.
Yeah.
There are a couple of pieces there to build around. I mean, your starting pitching is still pretty good.
Well, who's to say they're not going to trade those guys this offseason?
Absolutely. Yep.
If they're not sold by then, I guess
true.
My point.
You have Byron Buxton, who's having a great year.
Yep.
So you have a couple of pieces there. It's just
if Royce Lewis can stay on the field, you think he might?
Not only that, but can he actually do anything when he's on the field and not just strike out and ground out 3 hoppers to second base? It's not. I guess you're starting over, yes, but there's actually pieces there to start over with. It's different. I've been around a long time, and I can remember the 82 season when they lost 102 games. But they kept, and it was a different world with the media. It wasn't what it is today, where it's everybody's got 1,000 opinions coming at you from every angle. But in 82, they kept saying, the Twins and the media in the Twin Cities kept saying, but the guys that are playing right now, getting their brains beat in, they think they're going to be pretty good.
Okay.
They think they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
That was Herbeck, Bernansky in 84. I think Puckett came up. It was that Gaetti. It was that crew that was the nucleus of that team that just got the snot kicked out of it in 82. And it turned out in 87, and that was the nucleus of the team that won the World Series after a couple of acquisitions.
At this stage, though, where, again, we've talked about this, and I want to move on after, but there's no guarantee whoever the new owners are that they're going to go and spend ridiculously either.
That's part of the narrative in the Twin Cities, as I always like to poke the guys at KFan, not personally, or just sort of publicly. It's like they're pushing that narrative among the Rube fans that once there's an owner, everything's going to change. There's no guarantee of that.
No.
We don't know. I mean, none of these guys like to lose money.
No.
I mean, they're not in this to lose money.
No way.
And the Twins are not losing money. Let's make that clear. They were not losing money when they right-sized their roster. They just weren't making the margin they wanted to make. Like many businesses say, oh, we got to cut back.
Yep.
Well, it's not that they're losing money. It's they're not making enough money, that's decisions you make. But there's no guarantee that whoever comes in is going to spend a bunch of money and say, you know what? I just want to win a World Series. Whatever it takes. I'm just going to win. You know, the Dodgers can spend all kinds of money because they make all kinds of money.
Correct.
The Yankees can spend all kinds of money because they make all kinds of money.
Their television contract is a huge part of that, too.
So it would behoove the Twins to get better because you're going to sell more tickets and become a wanted commodity. But there's no guarantee. There's zero guarantee that if some billionaire comes in and buys the team, that he's just going to go, you know what? I'm just going to stay out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what billionaires do is they just stay out of their businesses. They're just, I'm just going to buy a franchise for $2 billion and just stay out of it and hire people and let them spend my money how they want. Does that seem realistic in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Has it ever happened before?
Can I argue that the Wilfs do that? Are they in the mix more than we think with the Vikes? Like they certainly spend. They spend money,
but they also make a ton of money.
Do.
They make a ton of money. That's the difference. But no, I mean they're
not overarching.
In terms of ownership, that's probably one of the better ownerships around.
Right,
I mean,
that's one came to mind. But
they spend the money. Glenn Taylor, I guess, that's been a odd, bad hire after bad hire after bad hire after bad hire. So that's a different situation. But no, I guess the Wilfs are
maybe a
good example. Although we don't know, behind the scenes, it seems as if they're staying out of it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I mean, I'm really interested to see with the Timberwolves now with A-Rod and Mark Lowry, how that goes with their ownership group now taking over with the
And that's
with the
that's
Wolves.
another one where Glenn Taylor was like the villain.
Yes.
And in some cases, he shouldn't have been a villain. I mean, he should have been like, what are you doing? Why do you keep hiring bad people who was the guy, David
Kahn.
Yeah, I mean, how do you hire that guy to run your franchise? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Wolves still paid for that.
Yep. And so we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, A-Rod is it seems like he is a obviously a very competitive person and has a large sense of self.
Yes.
And so perhaps he'll do what needs to be done with the other. The other guy is actually the money guy.
He's the money guy. Yep.
But
you got to hire the right people, though. You know, they have that. They hire Connolly, the GM, to go and make the deals that they made for Rudy, for Cat, to go and make those trades and it's built the Wolves into two-time now Western Conference finalists. Can they make the moves
so
to go beyond that?
So now people are getting antsy, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what's
now
the
what?
next move to get to the finals?
Exactly right. We'll break. We come back. We'll chat some Bison football. Mike was up at practice the 3 times we've had it open to the media. We'll discuss some positions. Wide receiver is one Mike wrote about. We're going to get into that. We come back, wrap up our first hour of Hot Mike right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Morgan Mathiowetz will join us from Sleepy Eye, Minnesota.
Sleepy Eye.
Yeah. NDSU got another basketball commit for the class of 2027. I'll read a McFeely column headline. Does NDSU have the best receiving core in the FCS? Oddly, maybe. And we've been out there all 3 times that it's been open to the media, and we've been over by the wide receivers a couple times, and I've been remarking like, oh, that guy's pretty good. That guy's huge. I had one Bison Uber supporter come up to me yesterday and go, God, Chris Harris is just bleeping huge.
Yeah.
Like, he's 6'4".
Yeah.
This is something I think we remarked at the end of last season, that they were bringing everybody back. Braylon Henderson and Tyler Terhark were the 2 that moved on. But the top 5 guys were all going to be back. And that is a loaded
plus
unit.
They had some guys coming up that they thought could turn into something. Let me be, as I tried to make clear in the column, who knows?
Yeah.
Because it's FCS. Yep. There's just, you and I have had these discussions about the lack of sort of, national or overarching coverage of FCS. And I don't mean that as any disrespect to Sam Herder, because him and Craig Haley kind of try to keep an eye on everything. But other than that, it's just FCS is so localized and so not even regionalized. It's so localized, and everybody's in their own silo, and nobody knows. And I tried to say that in the column. It's like, you look at him and you go, They got the best receiver in the subdivision.
Yep. They
got Chris Harris and Mekhi Collins, Chris Harris was good last year.
Yes.
It's just that the other guy caught 75 passes. Mekhi Collins and Chris Harris are huge. Rajah Nelson, who we keep forgetting about, and with all apologies to Rajah, I kind of keep forgetting about him because he's just there. But if you watch the championship game from last year or you watch the Dakota Marker game, wow, did he make some catches that were huge in those games.
Yep.
But he only played 8 games, whatever. Then you have Jackson Williams, who I think looks bigger and stronger this year because he's a year older.
Yep.
He's not a true freshman anymore. And Tim Paulsek, the head coach, has said that Jackson Williams is going to be part of the offense as well. And then you have the Cade Ostermans, who was the Minnesota High School Player of the Year.
My guy, Johnny Gores.
Johnny Gores is still. Johnny Gores is going to be traveling with the team no matter what. I think he's a little guy, but he is tough, and he's kind of that guy that coaches love because he'll stick his nose in and try to knock a 6'4" linebacker on his rear end, even though he's only 5'6" and whatever. And so you can make the case. As Sam Herder told me, they have an argument, but Incarnate Word has a couple of guys that are All-American candidates, and Monmouth has a bunch of guys that can run around and they're gonna compile 1 million yards because that's what their offense is. But like Paulsek said, if you start with number 5 and go from there, that's a pretty good place to start.
You look at the breadth of their unit of what they bring back, and there's a graphic to show it exactly. I mean, they're just guys that get out there and they, for the most part, they catch the ball.
Yes, it's an important part of being a receiver is catching the ball.
I'm going and making plays down the. Jackson Williams, I think, is just a guy I think could really explode this year. I really think that's going to happen.
And Chris Harris is my pick to click. And let's make this clear. Most of this depends on the quarterback.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we have to keep that in mind, as I tried to make clear in the column. The quarterback last year had what you could argue is the best individual season for a quarterback in NDSU history. He was really good. He completed, 75% of his passes.
Yep.
Threw very few interceptions.
Threw 33 touchdowns.
He was really, really good, which is why he was drafted into the NFL. If the quarterback this year, presumably Cole Payton, comes anywhere near that, if he completes 65% of his passes. I was going to say
67. Okay, yep.
NDSU is going to be just fine.
Yep.
But a guy like Chris Harris and Mekhi Collins, they're so big for this level. Yep. Let's make that clear, for this level, that if it's a 50-50 ball, is a 5'11" cornerback going to take the ball away from Chris Harris or go high enough to take it away from Chris Harris? I don't know that he is.
Nope.
I don't know if he's going to be big enough and strong enough.
There's also a couple other notes I wanted to get to from yesterday from camp because we were out there, and again, it's like the Vikings. You're trying not to overanalyze everything you see at fall camp.
But that's what we do, though.
That's what we got to do. There's a thirst for it, man.
No! Who's playing right guard?
Well, that's a good question. Ryan Babbitts was yesterday. And people are like, who the heck is Ryan? Well,
exactly.
He just got here in June. Yeah. He's a true freshman from Buffalo, Minnesota. We've had him on the show a handful of times, actually. I think it was the number 5 overall prospect in the state. That's him there, Mike, number 76.
So he was out there with the first team
the first
yesterday.
team offensive line.
So is that a testament to that he's just going to be really great at a young age? Or is that a testament to the coaching staff going, ooh, we got to find some answers here 3 weeks before the season opener?
I think it's a bit of both. I think there's a little bit of he's got the potential.
He's a true freshman, though.
Yep. And also that, hey, we need to see something more out of the guys that have been around for a little bit.
And that's not a good sign.
Not great.
That's not a good sign. And I think Tim Paulsek has said, he hasn't called the 3 non-conference games, like he can't call them a preseason. That's not, the games count. They're important. The teams will be coming at NDSU like every team comes at NDSU. But if things go the way that you might expect them to go in those 3 games, is there an opportunity to learn more things and experiment with some things in those games to get ready for, and then plus the bye week to get ready then for the grind of South Dakota. That South Dakota game, again, if things go the way they should go in the 3 non-conference games, that South Dakota game is huge to kick things off. That's a team that NDSU hasn't beaten the last 2 years in the regular season. It's a team that is picked by some to be the conference champion. I don't know if that's going to be true with some of the losses that the Yotes have had, but we'll see. But that's certainly one of those teams that if you want to win the Valley or get a top 2 seed,
you got to beat them.
You got to beat the Yotes, especially that early in the season, because you still have Illinois State, South Dakota State,
and UND.
And I again don't know what UND is going to have this year,
but it's a road game.
But it's a road game, and that's always going to be different up there.
There was 2 other guys. Elijah Wayne who's a true freshman, was getting reps. Who's at defensive tackle.
Was he getting run?
He was getting some run.
Was he getting some run?
That's another great fall camp term.
Yep, we're going to give him some run.
Was out there as well. And that's another spot. Defensive true freshman, you don't play. But
no.
Talk with a couple of coaches, and they said, Dom, you've been around long enough. You know what it takes to get in and play with us. But the physical size of these guys and the speed is something that was brought up to me about some of these freshmen that traditionally we may have to just adjust our mindset. Like, they might be that, but they might be physically ready to play at 18 years old.
That's part of, and we've talked about this before, but it's part of not only that the Bison lost 25 seniors or whatever it was, but also the portal.
Yes.
I mean, that's going to be a reality for every FCS team, whether it's anybody else in the Valley, as we've seen. It no longer matters. It's not an NDSU thing. It's an FCS thing that you're just always, and those kids, defensive tackles and offensive linemen are so valuable to these FBS teams that could just want to plug and play now. They don't want to develop guys. There are programs out there that have said, why should I develop players?
These guys.
I can just go up to NDSU or SDSU and take the guys I want after they develop and spend money on them for 3 years. Those are conversations that have literally been had.
Yes. And currently having as well.
And currently having.
Yes. The one last thing on that, on the freshman part was, and also there's another added piece of that maybe these guys shouldn't have been here in the first place, that they were missed on in recruiting.
Yeah, that's been what NDSU has feasted on
Yep.
for 15 years now, is that you get the overlooked guys. And I mean, it's just a different world, and a lot of it stinks from a fan standpoint.
Yep.
But you got to deal with what's in front of you, and NDSU is still well positioned. I think they have a good year this year, and I think they're still well positioned to remain one of the top couple of programs or the top program in FCS. And I don't think the NIL stuff or the portal is going to, because everybody else is going to lose guys too for all the same reasons.
Do you have any other fall camp terms you want to get out here? Getting some run.
Getting some run. That's my favorite one. Is I love when media in the room. That's been my one for.
That's another one.
The last few years when I started to hear media people go, Coach, talk about that linebacker room. I went, oh boy. It just talk about the linebackers, or
you can't do that.
Do you think that your linebackers are good?
Okay, I'll give you a couple. Standout. That's standout during camp. Beginning to impress. Starting to pop. I'm just trying to, from what I wrote on Sunday from
the goal. The goal is to fit as many as possible. That's when I get bored writing my column. I try to fit in as many things as possible.
Earn praise
that make me chuckle.
Earn praise, is that one? Is that too old school for you?
That's kind of that's like 1950s.
Thanks for coming by as always, bud. Thanks for coming in, even on sometimes your days off.
Sometimes I don't have a day off. I still find a way to get in and do my job.
Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:35. We'll break. We go to hour 2. You'll meet NDSU's newest women's basketball commit. Averaged 33 a game. That's McFeely-esque from her days in Alexandria. It's coming up. We start hour 2 after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll on this Tuesday morning. Dragon head football coach Steve Laqua will join us about a half hour. Looking forward to that conversation as MSUM's back practicing. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. We mentioned yesterday, big news on the basketball front. It's been a busy couple weeks here, recruiting-wise, for both the Bison men and women. For the second time in as many weeks, the North Dakota State class of 2027 has been added to. We introduced you to Maya Killian last week from New Prague, Minnesota. The Bison stayed in the state of Minnesota for its most recent commit out of Sleepy Eye. You know the Mathiowetz name. Maddie's been a tremendous player for the Jackrabbits for the last couple of years. Her younger sister, Morgan, announced yesterday that she is going to play basketball in the Summit League as well, this time at North Dakota State. And she joins us this morning, getting ready for her junior year of high school. Already a 2,000-point score. The accolades are crazy. Thanks for the time this morning. We were just visiting off air. You committed a couple weeks ago. So if you had to keep this a secret, or how the last couple weeks gone?
Well, I committed to Jory, and then I was kind of waiting to tell some family before I announced it. But we went on a road trip with my family, so that kind of gave me a little week to kind of just get things together. And then when I got home, I kind of decided that I wanted to tell everyone and then post it so that everyone can see. So
okay, now obviously the question I have is, tell an older sis, how did that go down since she's a Jackrabbit?
Yeah, she was excited for me. I think she knew that I kind of wanted to carve my own path and go my own way. So we kind of had talked about that and just kind of what I wanted to do with my future and kind of what I was leaning towards in college. And I think she's excited for me, but I promised her I would cheer for her one more year, and then so.
I have to ask, you mentioned that you're just about to start your junior year, and I think for people, Morgan, that don't know, in the women's game, the offers come early, and I know you got offered early, but does this still seem like I have a lot of high school left before I even think about college?
A little bit. I think the recruiting process definitely starts earlier now. I think that's been a big change over the past couple of years, so just already being in the process for 2 or 3 years already has been kind of just ready for it to happen and kind of ready to make that decision. But I think it's kind of a little bit at peace knowing that I know where I'm going in college. And now I can just really enjoy my last year of AAU and then my last 2 high school seasons.
When did you first get contacted? Or a coach say to you, a college basketball coach, how young were you?
I think it was summer after my 8th grade season.
Holy cow. So yeah. You saw your sister go through it, but for now you're experiencing. What do you remember about that?
I think the biggest thing was just kind of realizing that you need to enjoy it and not let it be a stress factor in your life. I think that was the biggest thing, and just building those relationships and really kind of it's not really an easy decision to make sure where you want to go. So I think just kind of realizing the things that you need to have in a college and the things that maybe aren't so important. So I think at a young age, it's kind of hard to understand that. But as I got older, it kind of got a little more serious and just kind of maturing throughout the time.
Did it ever get overwhelming?
Yeah, at times for sure. I think for the most part, it was always a good experience, positive. But there are times where just trying to fit in calls throughout the week when I'm busy with workouts and practices and stuff like that. But coaches are pretty flexible, which is really nice.
I'm just wondering, you're getting messages, I'm assuming, from people you don't know. Hey, can you call? We'd like to chat. Can you describe what that was like I'm assuming probably on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think it was exciting for the most part. I think just being able to, like I said, build those relationships with different coaches. But I think the more you had them, it got a lot easier as time went on. I think the first couple when I was that young, it was just what do I say? How do I answer? But I think it got easier as time went on, and just kind of being able to respond in mature ways and things like that.
How much did older sis help on that?
A lot. I think that was a really nice thing to have, just being able to kind of know what the process is like and kind of what you can expect, going into the process, and then also kind of what you expect playing at that level.
So tell us about basketball. Has it always been this? Was there another sport, or was hoops always number one?
I played volleyball, basketball, and softball when I was younger. I still play high school volleyball, actually. So volleyball's been starting recently and just kind of getting into that season. But I think the passion has always been with basketball. So kind of once I knew that that's what I wanted to work on, I just kind of decided that college basketball was something that I was interested in. And then I just kind of never looked back after that.
I have to ask, what were games like at your house? I got to imagine they were pretty intense.
Yeah, for sure. As a very competitive person, he played college baseball, and there's a lot of basketball in my family. So just after games, sitting down and being able to get just reflecting off the games and getting advice from everyone has been really nice.
You guys have some pretty, serious pickup games just in the driveway?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of 1v1 that goes on.
The success at your high school is well known. Maddie was an amazing player. I remember NDSU actually recruiting her for the Jackrabbits came in. Tell us about the lineage of Sleepy Eye and trying to live up to that and having your own. You mentioned carve out your own legacy of having a great success at your high school.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big thing is just the success we've had at our school. It's kind of just a legacy that we've had there is we want to be successful in everything we do, and we can kind of try to play. We're a really small school, so just everybody's involved in everything, and we just kind of work hard at everything we do. So I think that's definitely been inspiring for me, just being able to kind of follow the people that were in front of me and kind of follow the path that they laid down.
How often do you get either compared or maybe mistaken for your sister? How often does that happen?
Yeah, it happens a lot, but I'm all right with that. She's a pretty good person, so.
So describe your game for Bison fans that are getting to meet you for the first time. How would you score a lot, obviously, but give us the lowdown on how you would describe your game.
Yeah, I would say I'm a little undersized, so I'm a quick guard. I usually play point guard or shooting guard. I can score at 3 levels, and I like to play the game really fast. So a lot of times you won't see me slowing the game down. I always try to speed it up and try to be a pesky defender. So I think that's definitely one of my strengths is just kind of getting up on the ball and just always trying to create opportunities for my teammates and kind of make an impact on the game.
I know Jory, it's music to his ears because he loves to push the ball all the time.
Yep.
When you are out there, like, what are you most confident? Handling the ball, shooting it? Where are you most confident when you're on the basketball court?
Yeah, I would just say kind of having the ball on a string. I feel like the ball is always kind of in my hands, especially at high school, just because we're a small school, and the ball kind of always tends to be in my hands. So just being able to control the game in that way and kind of being able to decide what kind of things happen throughout the game.
You made it to state last year, which is not an uncommon occurrence for your team. What was that experience like? And now, hey, we made it to semis. We want to go one step further this year.
Yeah, honestly, that was definitely like a dream come true for me, just making it to the state tournament. I think that's been one of my biggest goals throughout my career. So just getting there was just really important for me. But now I think just knowing that we made it there and now we know what to expect this next year and just kind of wanting to take our game and our team to the next level. I think for sure we want to get back to that semis game and kind of get that revenge a little bit. But I think just continuing to work throughout the season and do all the small things will get us there.
You played at the barn. I have to imagine there were some college coaches in the building as well. Did you know that? Did it add pressure? We want to win. We want to play for the state championship. But you had to know there were some probably, inquisitive eyes that were in the stands that night.
Yeah, I think I kind of had a little bit of background that they were going to be there. But I think, honestly, in the moment, you kind of just forget about all those things. And it's just kind of the game that just happens and you just kind of want to play. So I think it's kind of always in the back of your mind, but also you just kind of want to go out and play the game. So.
All right, so give us the time when NDSU got involved and what stood out to you about the Bison.
Yeah, NDSU was actually the first school to ever reach out to me. So they were definitely there from day one. So I think just like the relationship part of it was huge for me, just knowing them and getting to know every one of the coaches over the past 2 years was just huge. And knowing that they've all been there for 4 years already was just really kind of felt good to me, just knowing that they were all kind of in it with each other and they don't really have any plans leaving anytime soon. So that's the biggest thing. And just knowing that Jory's really turned things around the past couple of years. When he came in, I mean, they weren't having great success and now they're one of the top in the Summit League. So I think just knowing that he's there and he's willing to put the work in and wants to make his team the best that he can. So I'm just really excited.
You got the Summit League, obviously, from what Maddie's gone through. What was there anything you were looking for out of NDSU or like, I know the competition level already. I know I can play there.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think the Summit League is a great league. I think it's just like the perfect year in the area. I'm really close to my family, so I want to stay closer to home so that they can make most of the games. And I have some family up by Fargo, so that was kind of fulfilling, knowing that there'll be people there and just knowing that they've been really successful the past couple of years, and I know they're reaching for more in the next couple of years, so I'm excited to be a part of that.
Okay, 2 things on that. the amount of Minnesota girls, Morgan, how big a deal was that either you know or played against or just have some background? Was that because Jory has made that a huge deal of recruiting the state of Minnesota?
Yeah, I think for sure just being on campus and kind of talking to a lot of girls that are from Minnesota, and honestly, there was a handful of them that are from the same AAU club that I'm with right now. So just knowing that they kind of know, I know they had to go through with Minnesota Fury and kind of what they expected from them and how that translated to the college level, and just knowing that they've been successful there. So
what was his reaction when you made your decision, when you called him?
Yeah, he was pretty hyped. Yeah, it was really fun. I called him, and he said he was going to go celebrate, so that was really fun.
Did you celebrate, more importantly?
Yeah, I did. I was actually at my lake house, so we did some celebrating the next day. So,
you mentioned family. If I have this correct, I believe the Hendricks family, that's cousins of yours? The Jimmy Football, one James Hendricks, they're cousins of yours? Is that right?
Yeah, James is my cousin.
Okay,
yeah.
So how big a deal is that? He's a Bison through and through. You mentioned family. How much of a connection was that?
I think that was a big part of it. I think just knowing the success he had there. Obviously, it's a different sport, but I think his time there was great. And, I mean, he moved up there, so he loves the area. And just knowing that he'll be there, and his family's close by in Bemidji, so just knowing that there'll be somebody there if I ever need anybody. And I try to stay in good touch with him, so yeah.
To have this done, I'm interested. Do you imagine the phone will still ring? Because I mean, you don't have to sign anything for a while yet. Will coaches still reach out? How will you handle that if that happens?
Yeah, I think for the most part, coaches kind of respect that aspect that you've made your decision. But obviously, if anything would come up, I would just kind of let them know that I've made my decision and that working on building my connection with NDSU and kind of getting ready to be there in the next 2 years.
So it's over and done with. Does it feel relief, excitement, a little bit of both? What are the emotions even today? Like it was out there went viral yesterday that this is over.
Yeah, I think definitely when I posted it felt more real, just kind of letting everyone know. But obviously I'm really excited. Can't wait. Time can't go by faster to be there. So, but also it's a little bit of relief knowing that I can kind of just focus on them and kind of work on the things that I need to work on to get better before I get there, and kind of continue to build the relationship with the coaches.
Now, for people that don't know, Sleepy Eye, you're down, New Ulm, Mankato way. Give us the area of basketball around there. What's the kind of nightly games you have in terms of challenges you guys are facing?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the schools around the area are pretty small, so we don't travel very far to play, but I think we stay competitive with the teams we play. We try to kind of work on everything when we play schools around here, but then obviously like non-conference we have to go a little further to kind of get some good games in. So I think just really trying to focus on those and kind of getting good competition throughout this season.
Who's the big rival? Who's the one you guys get up for the most?
Well, in our conference we have a public school in our town, so I would say over the years that's probably been our rival, kind of just going to the other side of town, they say, across the railroad track. So I think that's been a pretty big rival over the years.
All right, so Maddie's career number is 3762 for career points. You're over 2,000. Is that the goal, to break her record?
Yeah, I would say. Definitely since I've been little, I've kind of wanted to follow in her footsteps. So I think just she kind of set the example. So now I kind of have that stuff in the back of my head. So
is she okay with that? Have you told her, hey, I'm aiming for your record, it's not going to be there that much longer?
Yeah, some of my family usually gives her crap about it. They're like, your record's not going to be there very long, but hopefully everything goes well and stay healthy, and hopefully it'll happen.
Last thing before I let you go, and I really appreciate the time. Describe the bond you guys have, and now each of you are going to be playing Division I basketball. How big a deal is that?
I think it's really cool. I think just kind of sitting back and realizing how much work we put in, and kind of all the unseen hours that we spent in the gym with our dad. Our dad's been a big part of our success. He's willing to go in every night after games and kind of just work on things with us, and just being able to share that bond with each other. And that's kind of one thing that we've both been passionate about for many years, has been kind of important with how close we've been. So I think just being able to continue to work together, and kind of once she moves on with basketball, then she can kind of mentor me through my next 4 years. So that's just been really nice to have somebody like her to talk to.
Have you told her she's got to wear a Bison shirt to a game? Has that come up or not yet?
Yeah, she said she'll wear them to my game, but then she was like, I'll still wear my Jackrabbit stuff. But I was like, as long as you don't wear it to our games, that's fine.
My last thing for you play for the Minnesota Fury, and I think people that watch my show know the level of talent that is. But describe that of how much that has made you better, that AAU team, and the players you're playing with are also going to be playing, for the most part, Division I. How has that changed your game?
Yeah, I think that switch was really important for me, just kind of realizing the kind of level of commitment it takes to play at that level. I think that was definitely the difference. And then obviously when you get to college, it's even more. So just kind of preparing me for that. And obviously my teammates are all amazing. I think they're all going to be so great wherever they choose to go. So I think just being able to play with them and kind of, it feels like you're playing in college, but you're just playing in the summer. So I think that's been huge. Just the practices are very, very highly intense. So just kind of getting to know what that feels like and kind of what it's going to take to play at the Division I level.
Morgan, this was awesome. Thanks so much for the time. Congratulations. Enjoy the rest of summer. Have a great year. We'll be following, and thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Morgan Mathiowetz joining us from Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. She's the third member of the Bison class of 2027. You heard me right on the stats, by the way. Averaging over 33 a game. She's already well over 2,000 points. If you've not seen Sleepy Eye play, I believe their game from last year at State is available online to go back and check that out. But if anybody who watches our show, and I know we have a bunch of Jackrabbit fans that watch, know Maddie's game. I think it's similar, certainly size-wise as well. And Maddie Mathiowetz has become, I mean, you look at SDSU's team, third best. I mean, they're going to go through some transition with the players they lost after last year's team, but Mathiowetz is top three player on AJ's team coming back for this year. She held her own. If you watch the games in the NCAA tournament, there's no doubt about that. All right, we'll break. We got caught up. We got a few emails we'll get to, and again, Steve Laqua, Dragon head coach, going to join us in about 10 minutes time. Back on Hot Mic on a Tuesday morning. Beautiful day out. After this. Welcome back, everybody. Apparently, our tower cams out in Rapid City, I deduced who sent us the email on it. Our guy Dylan Vogt, of course, is down there. So shout out to him. Thanks for getting, I mean, that's beautiful. For those that have not been to that part of South Dakota, that is fantastic. A little different than flatland of parts of North Dakota. Good stuff there. All right, thanks to Morgan Mathiowetz for giving us a few minutes. Again, so the Bison now have 3 commits for 2027. Joining last week, we commit Maya Killian out of New Prague, Minnesota, and then Riley Rutledge out of South Prairie, North Dakota, who committed back in May, I want to say. So those are 3. I believe the Bison will have 5, at least as of now, if nobody leaves. Scholarships open for 2027. Again, it seems like it's forever away. And it is. And another aspect, it's not, because you're trying to line this up knowing NDSU's already offered for the class of 28 and for the class of 29. Just remember that. Those are for sophomores to be and freshmen to be, with the school year starting here in just a couple weeks. Just fair warning on that. I believe we have confirmation later this week for a couple of high school coaches going to join us. Mentioned on Thursday, it is opening day across the state of North Dakota to start high school football practice, which means we're just 2 weeks out from games. If that doesn't make you shake your head, nothing will. August 22nd is the opening night for high school football in the state of North Dakota. So the practices will get going on Thursday. We're going to check in with a couple over the next few days as I ran into Wayne Weremeyer, Davies head football coach up at Bison, practice yesterday. I believe he was getting out of town today to enjoy the last little respite before it begins on Thursday. We'll be checking in on the Eagles, of course, who were state runners-up a year ago. Cheyenne, the defending champs in 3A football. Now you've got Horace in the mix in the EDC, along with Fargo North and Shanley and West Fargo. Hear a lot of good things out of West Fargo's potential to be pretty good in 2025. So it all beginning on on Thursday. For some at midnight. Others will get going at normal times across the state for the rest of fall camp. So looking forward to that. And then everybody's in the pool after that. I think the Cobbers start pretty darn quick. And then it's go time for everybody around the region, which is the best time of year. Once everybody starts practicing, then it's good stuff. Let's do 2 emails here before we go to break. One on the Dom. This was the first move the NCAA's made in a long time. I agree with. Keep the tournament at 68. In fact, I'm in favor of going back to 64. They're not going to go back. We're not going back to 64, and we're not going to stay at 68. I think this is a 1-year reprieve. They're gonna get more runway here to figure this out, and then we're gonna find out. I don't know, December or January. Hey, here's the announcement. We're going to 76 next year. So enjoy it now, but I think it's only temporary before they go to 76 teams. It's just a matter of time on that. Another email got sent in on everyone saw, it went viral, the Joan Duran entrance in Philadelphia the other night. Dom, when will the Twins ever find a player that incites this much excitement? Yeah, just kind of shake your head. Again, the argument is the Twins made the deal with the Diamondbacks for Eduardo Escobar, and Duran, we didn't know anything about him. They developed him. He became an all-star, was a great closer. That's what I think the Twins uber fans would want you to believe. Like, okay, yeah, we gave up these guys, but we got these that we can develop them. That the next Duran is a couple years away. It's always 2 years away. It's always 3 years away. What about now? 2023 was pretty darn good, and it's just donezo. All right, we'll break. We come back. MSU head football coach Steve Laqua will join us. The Dragons are back. I forgot that he did that. They got their season opener just over 3 weeks. We'll chat about that when Hot Mike returns after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour of our show on this Tuesday morning. Football camps, practices going all around the region. Mentioned the Bison are going, UND's going. Yesterday, over at Moorhead, Minnesota State University, Moorhead opened up fall camp practice for 2025. The Dragons are one of the few Division II teams playing in week 0. They'll actually start before anybody. They've got a game coming up in just over 3 weeks' time, so I figure this is the best time as any to continue a tradition unlike any other. Not the Butler Cabin interview at the Masters, our conversations with Dragon head football coach Steve Laqua, who once famously adorned the Scorch mascot hat on our show. Here he is. Happy New Year. How's it going?
It's good. I think there's some debate whether the Scorch head is a better look than my current. So it's we can maybe have to do an informal poll on your file and see what people would prefer. So I think I've said it before, but I've been told by many that I have a face for radio. So
welcome to the party on that one. I got an email even before you came on. Hot take: MSUM will have the best quarterback in the region. What do you say about that with your what is he, 4th-year starter now back in Jack Strand?
Yeah, he's a really good quarterback. He's done some really good things. I think, there's some good quarterbacks in the region. If you look across the river, like Cole Payton, they're different. They're different. And so what's better? I don't know, whatever. If you want to throw the ball 70 times a game, maybe we got the better guy. If you want to, do more of a mix and have your quarterback in the run game, obviously not the best guy. So it's just different fits for everybody. We're sure glad we have him, and he's got a bright future in front of him.
To have him back, what kind of comfortability is that, especially now that you're not trying to reinstall things, that you got a guy ready to go on day one?
Yeah, it's very comforting, right? Like your offense runs through that guy, and so if you feel comfortable, he's got a ton of reps, ton of experience. Like, we know kind of where we're going to get, right? There's a floor that's kind of set. We're trying to raise the floor, raise the ceiling. But at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, we can count on these things. It allows us to be able to teach, at a higher level to some parts, but allows us to really, hey, we know where we need to be. We can focus on the young guys right now and trying to build our depth. And so that I think has been the best thing about the first couple of days in practice. Like, we know what we got in the old guys, but these young guys, we got to get them up to speed. So let's gear the practices towards them and develop. And the old guys, they'll be fine. We'll bring them along as we go.
Is this the earliest you've ever been back for camp?
It feels pretty close. It's about as it's been in the way our school calendar falls. It's the longest fall camp really that we've had, because school doesn't start until 3 weeks into camp. So it's a little bit different feel for us. We've had to kind of figure out how we're going to manage that extra time of football without classes and without that break. And so we've had to be a little bit creative. Got some video game tournaments going on and some of the we'll see how that plays out.
Are you part of those? I'm dying to know that.
I am part of the championship game pageantry that goes along with the pregame announcements and kind of halftime critique shows. Well, that's kind of my role in that deal.
Oh man,
we had a good time with that last year. We kind of ramped it up, took it to another level this year. So Madden tournament last year. This year we're going to NCAA football double elimination tournament. Top 32 teams. It's going to be a banger. It's going to be quite a deal.
When's the last time you played a video game? I'm just curious.
Oh, well, this is a great story. Okay. So 2001 would be the last time. So that's my senior year in college. And a lot of my roommates were engineers. So they had to go study, and I'm playing video games. So I have to admit, I played a lot. But the reason was this. They went to go do homework, and I said, hey, I'm doing an internship. I'm going to be a football coach. I need to be playing these football video games with in-game. So it's an unpaid internship. I spend about 4 to 8 hours a day on this. You guys do your deal. I got to do mine. And so it kind of helped me feel better about what I was doing.
And now look at you. You're a Division II head football coach. There you go, right?
Could be a proven strategy that some folks might want to take. So
the challenge of playing week 0. I mean, obviously the ramp up is earlier. What else goes into this knowing, okay, we're playing 3 weeks from Thursday. We got our first game.
Well, the challenge is so we play on a Thursday. It's a 9-hour, and a half-hour trip we've got to leave Wednesday. Classes start on Monday. So there's always a challenge when classes take you out of the fall camp routine. And then you've had classes, you're at a different time. Traditionally, it's very difficult to have good practices those first couple of days. Well, we need to have good practices because those are the last 2 days of practice we get before we hit a bus and go on the trip. So that part is definitely a concern. I think the other concern is because you do have extra time without classes, you have to make sure you don't burn everybody's legs and do football all day, every day, and you burn them out before you get there. But at the same time, there's not really anybody at campus. So what are we going to do? You're just going to sit around in the dorms and twiddle your thumbs with nobody around. That's not great for a freshman experience either. So we got to try and balance those two things.
When do you start paying attention for the freshmen that just got here? How early on are you looking at guys say this one can help us? I think we can. How many practices in is there a defining line for you to say I think that we've seen enough? He can help us.
Well, yesterday there were some guys that flashed, and this morning was our second practice. And just said, wow, and I thought it was interesting. We had a high school staff was in watching practice yesterday, and they asked about. They're like, who's this guy? We've seen him like how old is he? Is he like a junior, senior? He just hasn't been able to break the lineup. And I said, well, this was his first college practice. And you're right. He looked like he belonged with the older guys and he made some plays. And so some of those you're getting noticed. Now, granted, we don't have pads on. Tomorrow we'll get pads on for the first time. And so you take it all with a grain of salt because everybody feels great the first day, right? And then the second day, and then you get a little bit more tired. And then you kind of settle into, okay, here's kind of what it's like. So we'll just pump the brakes and we'll let the muddy water. But there's definitely guys that flash as soon as day one.
I know you how much you love preseason polls. It just came out. The Dragons, I think, for the 85th year in a row, have picked 7th, right in the middle. Do you use that? Do you want your guys paying attention to that or no?
No, in the end, I'm like, I think for about the 85th year in the row, the Dragons have been picked exactly where they finished
last year.
So I'm like, it's whatever. Like I could have given season poll as soon as last season's standings were complete. So we try not to spend a lot of time on that. If we're going to pay attention to anything in the media, we're just listening to Hot Mike.
Oh, there we go. There's a promo right there. Make it happen. There it is.
Yeah. So whatever you say, that's in their ears. They've got to we got to filter through that.
I appreciate that. Just knowing though exactly what you're getting yourself into. You know the NSIC. You know the challenges, especially for a younger guy, maybe a redshirt freshman or a sophomore who hasn't played yet. What is that, quote unquote, initiation like? Hey, we have one non-conference game, but after that, it's 10 of these that we got to look forward to.
Yeah, in the end, you're trying to create as many competitive situations as we can leading up to that. Where we got a chance of whatever. Say you're going to be a young wide receiver that's going to get on the field. Well, we've got to give you as many opportunities against our best defenders as possible. So when you get to the game, you're like, okay, this is what it's going to look like. And in fact, we've taken that a step further of, okay, so let's make it even harder. Let's tell you're playing one-on-one against this defensive back. He's a starter. You're a freshman, but we're going to tell the defensive back he's only going to make an outbreaking route. Now it might be at 5 yards, 10 yards, or 15, whatever. But like, okay, so he already has the answers to the test beforehand. And so can we create those mismatches that they have to perform under? So when you get to the game, you're like, okay, I've been in difficult situations before.
Having a Carter Berincott back, how big a deal is that, Steve, for a guy that's just a separator, just that he can make plays down the field for you?
Well, it's huge. When he came on, 2 years ago, and he hit his stride, and he made some plays, and he had that one touchdown catch against Northern where he caught it, and he just ran away from everybody. And I think everybody's eyes just went big and went, oh, what can happen to this offense now? And then, got injured a little while later or whatever. And then last year on the last scrimmage before the first game, he makes a great diving catch in the end zone and breaks his collarbone and misses the season. We got a guy that can be a difference maker that now we can add on. And now when his time was gone, other people stepped up and elevated. Yep. So it's just, and we didn't graduate. So we had a depth. Like it's a huge advantage to have a guy like that back. It's like, it's kind of like in the NFL, you signed a good free agent that came in. Like, normally you don't get that. You graduate and lose, and the next guy, you're like, hey, this guy was gone and came in. And so, we're excited about that.
Defensively, you graduated a couple guys on that side. Who do we look forward to? Who are you looking to say, we need you now to step up in 2025?
Well, we definitely need the defensive line to step up. We graduated a lot of those guys. And so Jacob Brocious out of Fargo North is a senior that, has been in the mix and playing, but has maybe never been the voice of that room. And so we need him to be able to step up and play great football. But, one of the cool things about our linebacker crew, Mitch Jezierski, is, he's been behind Josiah Bain playing, alongside him and with him. And Josiah's been one of the, maybe top 3 leaders that we've had in the last decade. Well, Mitch has got to be in the top 5. And so he's been a great follower, kind of in the shadows, so to say. And now he's got a chance to step up in the forefront. And Mitch has done a great job leading from like the second in command, the assistant head coach, so to say, and now he's in that head coach role, and he's been doing an awesome job, and so he's gonna help our team, but then he's gonna get a chance to be on the field and now make the plays that kind of go along with that.
Cody Sorensen, what does he have for an encore for 2025 for you?
Well, it seems like it's about his 4th encore. He's been around for about 6 or 7. We're excited that he's back, continuing to do it. He adds maturity, he adds wisdom. He is a great perspective where, if everybody's kind of might have it, he's like, hey, let's pump the brakes. Let's look at it from this angle. Hey, that makes sense. And so he's making sure that we've dotted all our I's, crossed the T's. We're together and we're thinking of it from all angles. And I really appreciate that perspective. And I think the rest of the guys do too. And so you need that kind of balance in your leadership room.
I'm going to say some journalism failure on my part. I don't live far from Nemzik, and driving the other day, I'm not like, what is that? There's a brand new scoreboard on the field. We had video of it yesterday, $200,000 scoreboard. How did this all come about?
Yeah, it was an awesome deal. We had some people that wanted to make a difference in the program, and and that was kind of their look. Here's what we want, and we'd like it to look like this, and we can kind of make this happen, and we need to pull some people together. And I think great job by our foundation, our athletic director Chad Markison, and like pulling people together and finding a way to finish it and make it happen. And so it's awesome, and it's great. We're able to get what we want out of it. I think it can definitely add and enhance. Anytime you can make some upgrades to the facility, it definitely helps. So we're excited about that.
Is that something you worry about looking at a replay right after a play? I know you go fast offensively, but you're going to do that? You can gander up there?
I got to try not to get upset with the officials if it's the wrong call, but and if it is, then it's my own fault. I should have thrown the red flag. So in essence, that might help that I could get a different angle to look at it, and hopefully where you got to throw the challenge flag. So I don't know that the officials like those things.
I'm sure they don't.
Yeah, it's hey, but it is what it is, and so we'll see. I think our Go team here on campus does a phenomenal job. Those students, and they run the cameras. They do some of those halftime interviews. They got great in the field kind of experience of what they're doing. They put a good product out there and prepares them, and a lot of them end up going to WDAY and doing things, and it's. I think it's a great win-win. And so people that are tuning in and watching, like, you see a good product, and you probably see some of those sideline reporters that, are doing some of the stuff that you guys are doing there with them. And so I think it's a great setup.
Last, before we go, we had Brian Meestro on last week. There are fans clamoring for a weekly appearance. I don't know. Can we have 2 Division II head coaches in the same league weekly on the show? So I'm asking, are you to come back this year?
Oh yeah, I'm coming back. I'm not on a 1-year free agency. I thought we had I don't know if it was a lifetime contract you offered, but it was a 2 or 3 year deal. We can look at. I might have not wanted the lifetime, trying to make sure that we could move the price down. So still have back. Oh
man.
Paying you to let me come on the show. So
I appreciate that always, and we can't wait to get it rolling here later this month. Thanks so much for the time, bud. Be well. Have a great fall camp. We'll talk to you when the season gets going, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
There he goes, Steve Laqua, MSU head football coach, joining us as the Dragons got fall camp going yesterday. Jack Strand's a dude to watch. Their schedule is what it is. I mean, they're opening with Northern Michigan, which is going to be a fun road game. You mentioned that. It's a Thursday night. It's 3 weeks from Thursday that they get going. That might be one of the very first college football games in the country going on. Obviously, we have week 0 on the Division I side a few days before it, but there's not many. The Dragons are in the top 10 of the first games of the season. That'll be happening coming up on August the 28th. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. We got a busy Sports Tuesday on tap for us here. Hot Mike will wrap on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Tuesday morning. Fun show today. Breaking news inside the station walls that I know everybody cares about. Apparently, we're doing root beer floats tomorrow. Is this accurate? I just got the email. I've got a controversial take here. Root beer floats are not even top 7 ice cream deal. It's National Ice Cream Sandwich Month. Just found that out here about 30 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't care. I'm just telling you. First off, number 1 is the Klondike bar. It's unassailable. I don't want to hear anything else. Number 1, Klondike bar, top ice cream. Number 2 is the ice cream sandwich. I would even consider root beer float is not in the top 5 for me. That's a hard. I will have one tomorrow. Maybe it's been rescinded now that I said it, but it's not in the top 5 for me.
What's your top 5 then?
I have no time. I gave you my top 2. Klondike bar is number 1.
We need to do a segment on this tomorrow. We need to carve out a little time. And we need to do a
What's
top
your
5.
number 1? Is it root beer float?
No.
Okay. What's your number 1?
Probably an ice cream cone.
Ice cream cone. Okay.
Yep. A twist ice cream cone with crunch is the best.
Okay. All right. I like the twist part of that. Soft serve or hard ice cream?
Soft serve.
Okay. Oh.
But Culver's ice cream is right up there.
All right. That's me, but I just found that out today. Apparently, that's happening. So look out for that tomorrow. We'll set aside some time for that tomorrow for top 5 ice cream deal. It's not my. I like root beer. I like ice cream. Just together, not great. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We appreciate their sponsorship of our show each and every day. Twins and Tigers coming up tonight, 5:30 on Twins TV. I don't even know who the Twins are throwing anymore. We'll see what happens for Game 2 in Detroit. Lynx in the Storm, 9 o'clock on FanDuel Sports North. Nafisa Collier going to be out at least a couple weeks, so that's a big deal for the Lynx. We'll see how they play without her. And the Little League Regionals continue today, all day on ESPN. Remember, tomorrow, the Fargo Little Leaguers play against Sioux Falls in a winner's bracket game. Our thanks to Morgan Mathiowetz, to Steve Laqua, and Mike McFeely. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.